What's up, Dylan?
Oh, I've been having a wonderful day.
Yeah?
A
Tell me
weird
about
day.
it. A weird day.
On my drive back from the gym
Okay.
in Enola,
All right.
Pennsylvania,
All right.
I was driving across the Harvey Taylor Bridge.
Uh-huh.
I pull onto the damn thing, and what do I see in front of me but two little dogs running across the Harvey Taylor Bridge toward the Capitol
Oh.
to do God knows what.
Oh.
And I slow my car down, and the cars behind me slow down. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do in this situation?
I don't know.
I thought about stopping my car and getting out. But as I was thinking that, the owner, apparently, allegedly, gets out of the car behind mine or otherwise runs up in between the cars that were parked and collects the dogs in their arms. And I drive away.
Wait, on the Harvey Taylor Bridge?
Uh-huh.
That's a fast-moving bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like full stop, like...
Yeah. Fortunately, I was the front car.
Oh, jeez.
And they got their dogs and nothing happened. But, man, those little dogs were running.
Oh, wow.
And things could have ended a lot worse.
Yeah, for both the dogs and for you.
Yeah.
That could have been a bad situation.
Uh-huh. I don't want to smush any dogs.
No, you might have been smushed.
Smush? How? Oh, by the cars behind me.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly. But fortunately, it worked out well.
Good.
And I got Burger King on the way here.
You said that.
That was friggin' fantastic.
What did you get? What's your order?
I got a double cheeseburger.
Okay.
Oh, it was delightful.
It was delightful.
I'm
so glad to hear that.
My spirit is soaring.
Okay.
And how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing great. Bronchitis has cleared.
Hey,
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
For now, fingers crossed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm checking things off my list to do as an adult, taking care of business.
Taking care of business every day. Okay, I kind of thought that you would back me up there.
That's okay. I'm just gonna let you cook.
All right.
That's
well,
all right.
I'm getting out of the kitchen permanently.
I went to New York. I took a little solo jaunt to New York, Big Apple.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you saw 3 separate musicals.
3 shows.
You were really scheduling musicals like back to back to back.
Yeah, that's really all I like to do in New York. I've realized, and even going back this past time, even with the holidays, I went to Rockefeller Center and I went to Bryant Park to see like the Christmas markets, and seeing shows is really all I like to do. There's not that I don't like to do other things, but like I'm not a big shopper. I don't like to shop. It was nice to look around and like look at the Christmas decorations and everything. It was beautiful to see the city in Christmas time.
Yeah, I imagine so.
But yeah, most of the other activities to do in New York are shopping, or the other activities like the touristy ones that I have yet to do. Like I almost said seeing the Eiffel Tower. You
can see the Eiffel Tower from New York?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you
Damn.
didn't know that? But no, seeing the what the fuck is it called?
The Empire State Building?
Oh my gosh. I was like, it's an E. It's an E. Yeah, the Empire State Building.
Yes.
Haven't done that. I've seen it from the outside, but never, going up in it.
Some might say that the Empire State Building is the Eiffel Tower of the United States.
Precisely my thoughts.
Mhm.
That's why I got them confused. They look so similar.
They certainly do.
They hold as monumental importance in my heart.
So what musicals did you see?
I went to go see, the first one I saw was Hadestown, and
Amazing. I love that show.
blew me away.
Mhm.
I've got to say, this might be a controversial opinion, but the people that I saw in the show live, that was the first time I had seen the show.
Mhm.
First time I listened to the music fully. Gotta say, I listened to the cast recording afterwards, and I liked the people that I saw better.
Really?
Really. And that's a hot take,
Jeez.
considering I love Ava Noblezada. She's incredible. Reeve Carney is great. The person I saw was better.
Mhm.
Yeah, everyone I saw just like blew me away. They were just stunning vocally and as actors. So that was a hard one to top.
Mhm.
That was the very first one I saw. I literally walked 40 minutes from the train station to my hotel, and then was lucky enough to have my room ready.
No taxis for you, huh?
No taxis. Well, even if you take a taxi, it would still take 40 minutes.
Right?
Getting through the city.
Oh, well, certainly.
Almost certainly.
But there is that nice sort of classic New York hailing a
I'm
taxi.
not
that you
paying
get to-
$40 to sit in a taxi.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
Mhm.
That's absurd. Anyway, so I walked 40 minutes.
Right.
my butt was killing me by the end of the weekend. Anyway, and then as soon as I got to the hotel, I had just enough time to drop off my bags, stop for a little croissant on the way to the show, and walk 20 minutes.
A little croissant near the Eiffel Tower.
Near the Eiffel Tower.
And the second show that you saw was
Maybe Happy Ending.
Never heard of it.
Which was lovely. It's a new musical. It won best musical of the year, I think last year. But it was lovely. It reminded me of like a Black Mirror episode, like a Black Mirror rom-com.
Oh.
It was really good.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have never heard of that before. Would you recommend it?
I would absolutely recommend it. It was really, really lovely. And what really made it was like the set and the tech design of it. It was really beautiful. They did a lot of things with like scrims and projections, and like it felt very like technologically advanced because it was with robots. So it was very, very, very well done.
Oh, neat. And the third one?
The third one that I went to go see is actually the subject of what I have to bring today. So I won't go too in depth, but it was also very, very good. Very funny. Yeah.
New York's such an interesting place.
Yeah.
I used to work there for a little while.
Really?
Yes. I was working as an assistant to an artist in New York, Manhattan.
What?
Have I not brought this up before?
No!
I used to work in Gansevoort Street near the MoMA.
I don't know what Gansevoort Street is, but I know where the MoMA is.
Yeah, it's right across from, I want to say the MoMA.
When did you do this?
In my youth. I worked as an assistant to this artist, helping her put her pieces of art up on the wall, stapling them, helping, like, selling her art. And I would bring my own chair, and I would draw portraits of people on the art on the street as well. And
what?
Are you
making this up?
No, I worked as a street artist, and I helped her with her art as well.
Why? Okay, Dylan, I'm upset. I'm really happy for you, but I'm upset.
Thank you. And,
why is this the first I'm hearing of this?
I'm surprised I've never brought it up before.
No! You're talking about your Burger King and the two puppy dogs on the bridge. Why was this never mentioned?
Yeah, it's that part of Manhattan is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's very hot in the summer, which is when I was working.
Yeah.
And
how long were you working there?
A full summer, yeah.
A full summer, and just like randomly.
Yeah.
Just big deal going to the Big Apple.
Well, yeah, big deal in the Big Apple.
Okay.
And I actually love shopping there.
Okay.
And I remember I was getting my mom a gift for Mother's Day.
Okay.
I parked my car on one.
You had a car?
I did.
That's
I was
nightmare.
driving in New York,
That's
which is
nightmarish.
a fucking nightmare. You are likely to die 2 out of 3 times. But I somehow survived. And to the people who think that I'm a bad driver and say that often to my face and behind my back too, I'm a fucking good driver, and I drive in New York.
Yeah, we see those comments.
I wish people would comment literally anything else. And I remember going to the store, getting my mom a little like flower like candle holder from the store. Coming out the other side of the store, my car's gone. I'm like, well, they've towed my car. So I had an Uber driver take me down to the bay, which is where they take impounded cars, and they drove me around the entire lot. Car wasn't there. I'm like, what the fuck happened to my car? So they take me back to the store, and I'm standing there, and I realize there are 2 sides to this store that open out onto the street. And my car is actually still parked, but on the other side. And not only that, but I have 3 tickets. Totaling about $180.
Not towed, though. You didn't get towed.
Not towed. Yeah.
Wow. That's quite the story.
Yeah, New York's a very interesting place for sure.
Yeah. I had no idea that you lived there, though. Did you like...
I didn't live there. I commuted in there from Allentown.
Oh.
Because this artist who I won't name, she lived in Allentown in this big old mansion.
Oh.
And I lived with her for a short time in Allentown and would drive her into Manhattan in her 1994 Toyota Previa. And maybe I shouldn't give the exact kind of car that she drove.
Who's going to know?
Yeah, probably no one. And
I didn't know for how many freaking years.
Yeah, she had 4 of the damn things. And she was heavily pregnant at the time.
Oh, my gosh.
And I would drive her into New York and help her set up all of her art. And she made a lot of fucking money. There were days when she would take home like $20,000.
Fuck.
Yeah. Because her stuff was in Saks Fifth Avenue magazine and a place.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a fun experience.
I bet.
Uh-huh.
I bet. That's
Drew a lot of people, met a lot of people.
That's amazing.
Got a lot of bottles of water.
Would you?
The thing is, if you're going to go to New York and sit and draw people, and the thing you shouldn't do is tell them to name their own price. Because a lot of the time, they'll just give you a bottle of water.
You just said name your price?
Yeah, I was like, hey, pay me whatever you want. And some people were like, all right, we're not going to pay you shit. Or they would pay me in like ramen.
Ramen.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it again?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Would you ever work in New York on Broadway?
Um,
Would you ever live in New York?
I would only live in New York if I were working in New York as like an actor or something. And I would only ever work in New York as an actor if I had like a guaranteed job, which is unlikely.
Yeah, which is, I don't think any actor has a guaranteed job for
No.
the most part.
So like that's like the main reason I didn't want to like try to pursue anything, just because like I need
job security?
Yeah, job security and like financial stability. Like I grew up not having financial stability, and not that I needed a job, but my parents needed a job. So like
Sure.
I've already like lived through the struggles of financial issues.
Right,
as a
because
kid.
your parents were actors in New York.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Very famously. So I've seen their struggles.
Yes.
But yeah, no, so I've always wanted to have more for myself. So I admire anyone who does that. It's not that I don't think I could handle the no's or the criticism, because I mean I do that anyway. I don't care about that. I do enough shows still currently to like handle feedback, and I that's how you grow.
Yeah.
So that's not it. It's just more so like the security and the stability of it. I a lot of my friends who do work as actors or are like contracted out, I see how they struggle with like, you know, worrying about not knowing where their next paycheck's going to come from.
Sure.
And it's just not something that I would ever want to do.
Yeah. And
So unless I were well off enough where that didn't matter, or comfortable enough in my own skills that I knew I could get booked one after the next.
Yeah, that makes sense. But there's always Hollywood.
There's always Hollywood, baby.
A lot of people who want to be actors live there
Yeah.
and work as other jobs in the meantime.
I was gonna say, even like voiceover work, you don't have to move anywhere for that. You can just do that from home.
That's right.
I have a friend who who taught improv, and he's a big voiceover artist. That's his full-time job, and he does a lot of like commercial companies and whatnot. But like he's in a couple big shows and like video games and
Really?
stuff. Yeah.
Can you name them? Like what are they?
We'll cut it out, but
What games or shows?
he was in like a Marvel show recently on like Cartoon Network. I think he voiced Loki.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
On it. And I think he did something else very similar to that video game wise, but he does a lot of like accents. He's a very good Scottish accent. It's like a lot of fantasy games he'll do. Yeah, he's a great old-timey fantasy like Welsh accent.
What's he saying?
Nope, not like that.
I love
actually.
that. That's just that one line.
Nope.
The go-to line for every medieval guard. Oi, what's he saying? Hey, folks. Welcome to My Existential Crisis.
The podcast that makes us...
What? Is that the first time you fucked up?
I think it is.
The podcast that makes us...
And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say.
Hey, folks. Welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about everything that makes us question our entire sense of self.
That's not correct either. No? That's not it.
I know this is the 75th episode, but this is our first time doing this.
Welcome to My Existential Crisis, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self. Is it where we talk about all the things?
Yes.
That doesn't sound right.
Hey, folks.
Hey.
Welcome to My Existential Crisis. I'm feeling really insecure. The podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self.
Like this moment right now.
Yeah.
So I have something a little bit different for you today, Dylan.
Okay.
Like I alluded to before, what I have for you today is actually the subject of one of the musicals that I went to go see.
Yes.
And it was based on a true story.
Elf, the musical. Please cut that out.
Nope. That's staying in.
You were saying?
Based on a true story. It is pretty wild. It's not a true crime like I usually bring, and it's more of like a historical oddity, I guess. Kind of similar to what you brought to the table last week. So it's a little bit out of my element in terms of what I usually bring, but it felt apropos given last week's episode, and it felt very top of mind. It like really resonated with me. So
Okay.
I figured I'd bring it for you today. But the show that I went to go see in New York was called Operation Mincemeat.
Right.
And this is the story of exactly that. Operation Mincemeat.
I'd imagine anybody who was try to pull into Operation Mincemeat probably felt a little bit of hesitation.
What do you mean?
Because you hear Operation Mincemeat and you think, oh, I'm probably going to die.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And somebody sure did.
Okay.
But,
Off to a good start?
yeah, somebody sure did. But we'll go over that. But essentially, this is the story of one of the most successful deceptions ever pulled off during World War II that saved thousands of lives and was a key factor in winning the Allies the war.
How about that?
Yeah. And we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty details. So I just want to back up a little bit first, obviously, with my sources. Let me read those through because I almost forgot that.
Right. Hold on. I'm going to estimate. You have five sources.
Nope.
More?
Yeah.
Damn.
So first one being the musical that I watched,
Uh-huh.
Operation Mincemeat, was very, very funny, by the way. It was because of how absurd this story is and all like the twists and turns and stuff. It made for like a slapstick comedy, like it was very, very funny. Very, very well done. That kudos to them who did the show. IWM.org, Wikipedia, History.com, National World War II Museum.org, PlymouthACU.UK, 3 different YouTube videos, Timeline, World History documentaries, biographic war stories, and then the BBC.
Cool. So not 5 sources.
Not 5 sources. No. So yeah, a little bit of background here just so that we can get into this, because as much as I'm sure people know about the general information about World War II, as everybody I'm sure had a very sick fascination with it as a child like I did.
Yeah, and then it sort of like reemerges when you're a dad.
Yeah. So just in case, you didn't fall into one of those categories, you're not a dad, or you didn't have a sick fascination as a child, let me catch you up. So by early 1943, World War II had reached a strange, precarious middle ground. The Allies were no longer desperately trying to survive, but they weren't winning yet either. North Africa had finally fallen under Allied control after years of brutal fighting, and now the question wasn't if Europe would be invaded, but where and how. Sicily was the obvious choice. Too obvious, honestly. Geographically, it made perfect sense. Sicily sits right there in the Mediterranean like a welcome mat to Italy. From Allied-held North Africa, it was the shortest route into Axis-controlled Europe. Capturing Sicily would open sea lanes, weaken Mussolini's grip on Italy, and potentially knock one of Hitler's allies out of the water altogether, which is exactly why the Germans were expecting it. This was the central problem facing Allied planners. The enemy could read a map too. They obviously knew that this was the perfect location.
Yeah, they make maps in German.
They make maps in Germany. This is so unrelated. I've been rewatching Rick and Morty, and I forget how much Nazi shit is in there. Like Adolf Linkler.
From the first season.
Yeah. And then I just watched the episode with the snake planet and all these fucking Nazi snakes. And then there was another episode where they had to keep going back and finding different dimensions, and every single one was like Nazi invaded. It's crazy.
I feel like there's a fair amount of overlap between my Central Crisis fans and
not Nazi enthusiasts. That's not the right word.
I had a plan for that sentence and it just fell out from under me.
Yeah. I saw the wogs. I saw the wogs. I saw the cogs turning.
Yeah, if you're a Nazi, please listen to something else.
Listen to something else, please. But yeah.
Rick and Morty fans. That's what I was thinking.
Rick and Morty fans.
Yeah, and my existential crisis fans. There's 100% overlap there.
Definitely. If there's not, why are you here?
Yeah, look at one of the goddamn hosts.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, but yes, this is the central problem facing Allied planners. Any competent general would assume Sicily was the next target, and they were 100% right. If Hitler expected Sicily, then Sicily would be fortified, reinforced, and turned into a killing field. Winston Churchill understood something fundamental about modern warfare. Brute force alone wasn't enough anymore. Wars weren't just fought with tanks and troops, they were fought with information, or more specifically, with misinformation. Churchill famously said that in wartime, truth was so precious it needed a bodyguard of lies. By 1943, British intelligence had taken that philosophy to heart. Deception wasn't a side tactic, it was a central pillar of strategy. And that's where this story truly begins. Not with a dead body, but with an idea that felt too grotesque, too fictional, and too morally questionable to use until desperation made it necessary.
What a setup.
Thank you. Now we have to go into the Trout Memo.
The Trout Memo.
The conceptual DNA of Operation Mincemeat goes back to 1939, right at the start of the war. Rear Admiral John Godfrey, Director of Naval Intelligence, circulated a classified document known as the Trout Memo.
The Trout Memo. How about that? Please.
The please was so desperate. Please.
Please continue.
It was written in the tone of a man who enjoyed metaphors a little too much, but the ideas inside it were deadly serious. Godfrey compared intelligence work to fly fishing. The trout fisher casts patiently all day. He frequently changes his venue and his lures. If he is frightened of fish, he may give the water a rest for half an hour, but his main endeavor to attract fish by something he sends out from his boat is incessant. You don't force information on the enemy. You let them bite. You dangle something irresistible in front of them, something that looks accidental, tempting, and real, and then you wait. Assisting Godfrey with his memo, and it was his personal... Nope, I'm going to repeat that. Assisting Godfrey was his memo, was his personal aide, a young intelligence officer with the name of Fleming.
Fleming.
Ian Fleming.
I've heard this name. He was the inspiration for James Bond.
He was the writer of James Bond.
He was so inspired that he wrote about James Bond.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes. That Ian Fleming. And it was actually originally thought that Godfrey was the one who created the Trout Memo, but it was very apparent very, very soon after the Bond stories were created that it was actually Fleming who wrote it. Because if you heard how these things were written, you would be like, yep, that's an aspiring novelist.
Interesting.
Yep. Years before James Bond existed, Fleming was already thinking like a novelist embedded in espionage. On a side note, Ian Fleming's boss, Admiral John Godfrey, became the inspiration for the fictional M15 Chief M in Fleming's James Bond spy novels. Anyway, so the Trout Memo listed dozens of deception ideas, most of which were clever, sneaky, and morally flexible, but one of them stood out significantly. Item number 28. It was titled, and this is real, a suggestion. Not a very nice one.
It sounds like a Redditor.
Doesn't it?
Damn.
This suggestion was...
suggestion. No, this isn't going to be a nice one.
That's the perfect way to... He would be a Redditor. You know he would be. A miladier.
Damn.
Oh, yikes. So the suggestion was simple in theory. Take a dead body, plant false documents on it, arrange for the enemy to find it. The memo acknowledged how unpleasant this would be. It also acknowledged that it might work disturbingly well, but at the time the idea was shelved. It felt like something out of a spy novel, one might say, which makes sense because Fleming later admitted the idea was inspired by a detective story that he'd read. Even by wartime standards, though, it did cross a line. Using a human corpse as a weapon of misinformation wasn't just deceptive, it felt very wrong. The weight of each human life during wartime felt particularly heavy. So no matter where you got the body from, each body really was a casualty in wartime.
Yeah.
So the idea just sat, waiting. Fast forward 4 years to 1942. The Allies are preparing Operation Husky.
You know what I'm kind of curious about?
Yeah.
Did no one... I guess this wasn't like a widely broadcasted idea.
No.
But I imagine if there was some amount of communication, somebody would have volunteered their body should they die.
But that would make them have to... Well, okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
Because there had to be very specific circumstances in which the body would be.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to 1942. The Allies are preparing Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily, which is their main objective for all the reasons I explained earlier. So if you weren't listening,
Yes.
go back.
Sicily is the doormat of Italy.
Yes.
Right.
The welcome mat.
The welcome mat.
The welcome mat. Planners know the Germans will see it coming. Casualty projections are grim. So something has to distract Hitler, and not just a little, but completely, because otherwise it would be an absolute bloodbath. So that's when the not very nice idea gets dusted off. British intelligence had already been running deception campaigns, feeding false information through double agents and radio traffic. But those methods were starting to lose effectiveness. The Germans were suspicious. They cross-checked everything. If deception was going to work now, it needed to feel organic, something the Germans believed they had discovered themselves. Enter Charles Chumley.
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 Damn.
And you should see how this is spelled, because it doesn't look like Chumley.
Is it Tumley or Chumley?
Chumley.
Chumley?
Chumley.
Chumley. Okay.
Chumley.
So
like Chumley from Storage Wars.
That's not who I was thinking of. So if I'm thinking in my head, I would spell it Chumle.
No, you'll
Why?
never guess how this is spelled.
Is it with
Let
a
me
J?
let me pronounce how it's supposed to be, how it looks like it's to be read.
Okay.
Chulmondley.
Chumondley. So it's
Chulmondley.
TCHOU?
Nope. Chulmondley.
CHUL?
CHOLMONDELEY.
That's not fair.
No. So Charles Chumley.
Yeah.
Chumley was an RAF officer working with M15. Flight Lieutenant Charles Chumley wanted to be an explorer when he was little. He even belonged to the public school's exploring society.
Aw.
I know, right? And discovered a new breed of shrew.
Wow.
Wow.
So accomplished.
I know. As an adult,
I thought there was just one shrew. I didn't know that there were multiple kinds.
Me neither. That's not all he's known for. Chumley also studied the mating habits of insects as a hobby.
Okay.
It was a real dork.
Yeah, a little weird.
Originally a member of the Royal Air Force, Chumley couldn't fly planes because of his poor eyesight. Instead, he ended up working for M15 as an Air Force representative. He was described as a, quote, ideas man with a somewhat whimsical and unconventional approach, but he was known for his ability to think outside traditional military strategy. By all accounts, he was brilliant, awkward, and deeply anxious. The kind of man who would absolutely lose sleep over whether his handwriting looked authentic enough. He proposed a plan that was frankly unhinged. His initial idea was to drop a course. Drop a course
on Coursera. Sorry, that was just rude.
His initial plan was to drop a corpse into enemy-controlled waters, complete with fake invasion plans, and let nurture and curiosity do the rest. The idea was refined, debated, and nearly rejected as being, quote, unworkable.
Okay.
That was, until Chumley was paired with somebody who could make it work. And that person was Ewan Montague.
Okay. Not Ian Fleming.
No, Ian Fleming's actually never mentioned again.
Cool.
But it's a fun fact.
So Ewan Montague enters the picture here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ewan Montague.
And when I hear the name Ewan Montague.
Yep.
When I hear it, when I say it with my mouth, I imagine somebody who has a velvet robe.
Okay.
And a cravat.
You would be probably very correct.
Okay.
Ewan Montague was a naval intelligence officer and a lawyer by training. He was methodical, pragmatic, charismatic, fiercely bright, quick-witted, and obsessed with detail. Where Chumley thought in big, risky concepts, Montague thought in paperwork, procedures, and psychology. They were an unlikely partnership. Montague was the kind of man who believed that the smallest inconsistencies could doom an operation. Chumley was the kind of man who believed boldness itself could sell a lie, and together they created something both meticulous and daring, a deception so layered that if even parts of it were questioned, the whole thing would still feel real.
Okay.
Montague did later admit that the plan felt like fiction, but he also believed that fiction, when executed with enough realism, could outperform truth. And it sure did. They refined the idea. The corpse would not be dropped from the air. That's too theatrical. It would appear to have died naturally in a plane crash at sea. It would wash ashore somewhere the Germans could access intelligence quietly. That place was Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Spain, under Francisco Franco, was officially neutral during World War II, but neutral is doing a lot of work here. In reality, Spain leaned heavily towards the Axis. German intelligence operated freely there. British intelligence knew Spanish officials would share anything interesting with the Nazis, especially if it looked important. And even better, British diplomats had a presence in Spain, which meant that they could perform outrage convincingly once the body was found. If Britain acted desperate enough to retrieve the documents, it would signal their importance.
Mm-hmm.
The chosen location was Holva, a coastal town known to be crawling with German agents. If you wanted Nazis to find something without knowing you wanted them to find it, Holva was perfect. Now all Montague and Chumley needed was a body. But finding a corpse wasn't as simple as it sounds. They had very specific requirements.
Mm-hmm.
They had to be male, military age, no visible injuries,
mm-hmm.
cause of death consistent with drowning,
Yeah.
and no relatives likely to demand answers.
Right.
Or relatives who would give permission.
Okay.
This is where the story shifts from clever to a little uncomfortable. The body they settled on was a homeless man who died after ingesting rat poison containing phosphorus. Whether it was accidental or intentional is still unclear. From an intelligence standpoint, this death was useful in a horrifyingly clinical way. Phosphorus poisoning mimicked the symptoms of drowning, and any traces would be diluted by seawater.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. He had no close family pressing for burial. His life, already marginalized, became invisible to death. There was no consent, despite the coroner falsifying documents to suggest that this person's family was okay with the use of his body. That was not the case. Both of the parents of this man were no longer living and could not give their approval. There was no ceremony, just quiet decision that this man's body would serve a purpose history would never know.
Huh.
What are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
What is his name?
We didn't know for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only an accident that we discovered. But I'll get to that at the end.
Okay. Gotcha.
So this whole time, just no idea who this person is.
That's a tough one,
Mm-hmm.
ethically.
Mm-hmm.
Is the use of his already deceased corpse going to save thousands of lives, potentially? Yeah. Can we assume from that alone that he would have allowed his body to be used? Reasonably? So I think it's probably okay.
Yeah. I would agree too, and they did. That said, it still is and was morally questionable, especially at least for the time.
Sure.
I mean, not at least for the time. Let me rephrase that.
These days, it's okay if you
These
use
days,
anyone's dead body.
You can use whatever you want. Not especially for the times. Even during the...
No, it is especially for the times because they were more sensitive to those things.
Oh, 100%. And
yeah.
I think that there's a level of distance that we have currently. Like unless you know, I at least for I think most people, I think death feels so distant
mm-hmm.
that it kind of doesn't feel real. Like you can make jokes about it and, you know, whatever. But during wartime when it's literally around you all the time and loved ones and neighbors and friends and family are being shipped off to potentially most likely die. It's a really hard thing to face. So like I said before, like every body really did have weight to it.
Certainly.
So yeah, it's morally questionable to this day, but especially then as well.
And the information was there that he consumed rat poison?
They did the autopsy, I think. Or not an autopsy, because they wouldn't have done an autopsy, because it would have shown visible signs of injury. Maybe they tested his blood or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
But that he consumed rat poison.
Yeah.
So purposefully, we can assume?
We don't know.
Okay, because it's hard to accidentally eat rat poison.
Yeah.
Unless you're a rat.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that. So yeah, they used this body. The coroner signed off on it, and we had a body at least now to go forward with this plan. Montague, not so great, later justified the whole thing by arguing that the operation would save lives, and he was probably right, but it doesn't make the choice clean. He said something about him just being a tramp, and that this is probably the best thing that he would ever do with his life.
Oh, distasteful.
Yeah. So,
don't insult the guy.
Yeah.
That does sound like something Montague would say.
It does sound like it, and it was.
Knowing him.
This is probably one of the existential cores, if you will, of Operation Mincemeat. The war was won, in part, by exploiting somebody who had already been discarded by society. Once the body was secured, though, the next challenge was keeping it usable. A corpse decomposes very quickly, so Montague consulted forensic experts, including the famous pathologist Sir Bernard Spilsbury.
Come on.
Spilsbury.
Come on.
All these names.
Spilsbury?
Spilsbury.
Why don't these names exist today?
I don't know.
What happened to these names?
Did they get all, like, bred out?
Maybe.
Like, you see someone with the name Chumley, and you're like, I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce that. I'm not going to mate with you. I don't know. Change my name to yours.
Chumley. I think Chumley is definitely up there among the silliest names that we've had on the show.
I would agree.
Spilsbury definitely takes
Spilsbury.
Definitely takes number one.
Yeah. But it was probably actually pronounced Bernard because they're British. So Bernard Spilsbury. Anyway, so Spilsbury determined the body could plausibly pass as someone who had drowned at sea, but only if handled carefully.
Mm-hmm.
The solution was refrigeration and dry ice. The body was placed in a refrigerator at 39 degrees Celsius or 39 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees Celsius, just above freezing temperature. This only slowed down decomposition, however, rather than stopping it altogether, but properly frozen storage would have left marks on the body after thawing, which might have given away the ruse.
Mm-hmm.
The body was stored in a mortuary and then placed in a specifically constructed steel canister packed with dry ice. As the dry sublimated into carbon dioxide, it slowed decomposition, but it also had a lethal hazard to it. If the container was opened incorrectly, it could kill whoever was standing nearby. So this was very complicated, and honestly kind of impressed that they were able to figure this out at the time with modern refrigeration and technology.
Yeah. You know what I was also thinking? Speaking about like the ethics, and all this.
Yeah,
like
please.
The moral quandary of all this. The country was drafting people into the war and forcing them to put their lives at risk for their cause. So this doesn't really seem like that far of a reach to do this.
That's a really good point.
In fact,
I didn't consider that.
A dead person doesn't necessarily have the ability to consent to give their body for a cause, and people in the country didn't consent to give their bodies for the cause. So it's kind of...
Yes. The one thing I will say, though, is the care in which this was given felt a little disrespectful, considering how we are usually so respectful of dead bodies in culture and society, and also then more so to like soldiers.
Yeah, makes sense.
Who are drafted. But that is a really good point that I didn't actually think about. So that's a decent way to look at it, for sure. Anyway, with the body preserved, Montague and Chumley began the most obsessive part of the plan. creating a believable human being. They named him Major William Martin of the Royal Marines, and the rank mattered. A major would plausibly carry sensitive documents, but he wouldn't be so famous that his name would immediately be checked against public records. Your face.
I'm also skeptical because his name's way too normal.
Well, that was the point. They try to make it more an everyday man.
We're talking about Chumleys and Spilsberries. And they name this guy, what is it, Martin?
Major William Martin.
William Martin?
William Martin.
I'd right away be like, yeah, no, this is fake. His name needs to be 10 times sillier than this.
Chumley.
Ugh.
Mr. Ewan Chumley. That's a really good point.
Yeah, anyway.
Besides the name, Major William Chumley. Nope. That's not his name. Besides the name, Major William Martin, they gave him a service number, unit assignments, a plausible reason to be traveling, being a courier to deliver these military documents to British intelligence. Mm-hmm. But the real magic was what Montague called wallet litter, because real people are messy, and lies that are too clean fall apart. Once a body was found, there was time to take a photo for the fake military ID papers. All the photos, however, clearly depicted a dead man. So,
he was dead before he was enlisted.
Yeah, he was way dead. Yeah. So what they did was an M15 officer with generally similar facial features was photographed instead. It was passable, especially after, the ocean's going to get to this guy.
They didn't just hold his eyes open?
I'm sure they tried. But I'm sure it was still very clearly a dead man.
Yeah.
By this point, Montague and Chumley didn't think that what they were doing as planting documents, but rather they were really building a life backwards. Because the problem with lies is that they don't exist in isolation. Real people leave traces. They accumulate small contradictions, annoyances, habits, and emotional debris. And if Major William Martin was going to convince German intelligence, he couldn't just carry secret papers, he had to feel lived in. And this is where Montague's legal brain and obsession with detail fully took over.
Do you think that this homeless man was just like in heaven looking down, like, what the fuck are you doing? His hands on his head, like
there's no way
God.
this is gonna work.
What are you doing to my body? Anyway,
I imagine him like critiquing their plan. It's like Major William Martin.
Major William Martin.
Yeah, Chumley. Okay, that's how I see him. But they filled Major William Martin's pockets deliberately with debris. Not dramatic clues, but with everyday annoyances or happenstances, if you will.
Every good man has debris in his pockets.
There were... What kind of debris do you have in your pockets?
I can look right now.
This is a new segment on our show that we call, What Debris Do You Have in Your Pockets?
A note from my veterinarian. There's plastic wrap in here. A whole bunch of shit.
Why do you have plastic wrap in your pocket?
It's just from packages that I've opened and I didn't have a trash can nearby.
Okay.
Would you rather I litter?
No. No.
Yeah, so everyone has debris in their pockets.
Yeah. So within Major William Martin's pocket debris, there were unpaid bills, a letter from a bank manager warning about overdrafts, a receipt for a diamond engagement ring he really couldn't afford, a club membership card, and a ticket stub from a London theater.
All of this in his pocket while he's flying a damn plane.
Yeah. Like a mixture of his pocket and his wallet.
He brings his wallet on the plane?
I think he had like his identification in there. Like his military stuff. I don't know how it works.
Okay, gotcha.
I imagine he needs his identification.
It's just funny to think that he just walked off the street and then got into a plane. You would think that you would be on a military base, like an aircraft character.
Your dad was a pilot.
Yeah.
Didn't he just walk off a street and get no plane?
Well, yeah, but I don't have a counterpoint.
Okay, well, he, just like your father, ask your father if he had pocket debris. if he
Okay.
took his
I
pocket
already
debris
know.
on the plane. Is the answer yes?
Yeah, you probably had pocket debris
Okay.
from
Well,
the airport.
from the airport.
Burger King receipt. He actually doesn't eat Burger King at all.
Plastic wrap.
Dad, I'm sorry if you're listening to this. I know you do.
I know it from his veterinarian. But, you know, all these things were very, very
Orchestrated?
orchestrated. That's probably the word I was looking for. They were very carefully orchestrated.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't accidental. Montague believed that financial distress made Martin feel real. Officers didn't get paid particularly well. Many lived beyond their means. Debt was normal. A flawless hero would raise suspicion. A mildly irresponsible man felt authentic. Montague even scuffed Martin's identity cards himself. He rubbed them against his trousers, bent the corners, and wore the uniform pieces to soften the fabric. New items would look fake, so used items told a story.
Yeah.
One of the most quietly absurd details, though, Martin's underwear.
Oh, come on.
Wartime rationing made new underwear surprisingly hard to obtain, so rather than risk issuing something too pristine, they used a set that had belonged to a recently deceased academic, Herbert Fisher, warden of New College, Oxford. So, to recap, a homeless man whose identity that we do not know, wearing the underwear of an Oxford professor who was also deceased, pretending to be a Royal Marine, carrying letters about fake invasions. This plan probably should not have worked, but it did. And that ain't all, baby. Every good lie needs an emotional anchor.
Right.
And for Major William Martin, that anchor was Pam, his fictional fiancée.
Aw.
Montague and Chumley understood that love letters did something intelligence documents couldn't. They humanized the carrier. So they suggested a future interrupted, a life cut short. That emotional weight made investigators more likely to believe the tragedy and less likely to question the logistics. So Pam's letter were carefully crafted to feel inconsistent in a realistic way. One was affectionate and playful. Another was mildly annoyed, scolding Martin for being too distant. Another hinted at wedding plans and emotional insecurity. This variation mattered. Real relationships fluctuate. Real relationships are messy. The photo of Pam came from Jean Leslie, a real M15 clerk secretary. She wasn't chosen.
Who agreed to this plan?
Yes, she did. And she wasn't chosen because she was glamorous, but because she looked approachable, like an everyday woman. She was pretty, but normal. The kind of woman that you could imagine waiting at home for a fiancé away on duty. Mm-hmm. Montague later said that choosing the photo was one of the most stressful parts of the operation. If Pam looked wrong, too polished, too artificial, the illusion would collapse.
Yeah.
Somewhere in German intelligence files, Pam existed as a grieving woman. A fabricated love story quietly influenced troop movements across Europe.
Huh.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
The false invasion plans were the most dangerous part of Operation Mincemeat. Not because of what they said, but because of how they said it. If the letters were too dramatic, they would look fake. If they were too precise, they'd look staged. If they were too vague, they'd be dismissed. So Montague enlisted real senior officers to write them. Mm-hmm. The most important letter came from Lieutenant General Archibald Nye.
Come
These
on.
fucking names. I'm
Come
so
the
sorry.
fuck on.
We have William Martin and then General Archibald Nye.
The only fake name in this story is the one that actually sounds like a real name.
Yeah.
This is absolutely wild. Archibald Nye?
Yes. Like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bald Nye?
Bald Nye. General Archibald Nye. It was written on authentic stationery, using the casual tone of two men who assumed no one would ever read it. The letter discussed troop movements towards Greece and Sardinia, framing Sicily as a decoy operation, and crucially, it did not read like a grand plan. It read like internal bureaucratic chatter, confident, slightly dismissive, and unconcerned with secrecy. That tone was intentional. Mm-hmm. Montague believed German intelligence trusted carelessness more than caution. Sloppy confidence implied authenticity. Another letter from Lord Mountbatten.
No comment. No comment. I'll leave the listener to decide how they feel about that. Honestly, goddamn.
Lord Mountbatten included a deliberately awkward joke referencing sardines. A clumsy nod at Sardinia. Montague forced the pun in, believing it would feel like a real, slightly embarrassing human mistake. But even more deliberately, they planted a single eyelash inside one envelope as a security measure to determine if the sensitive documents had been opened and read by the Spanish or German intelligence. So it was placed so that if it was opened, the eyelash would fall out. But if it was unopened, it wouldn't move.
Huh.
Yeah. So one last problem remained. How do we make sure that the documents and all of these things
don't get wet,
are still legible, and stay with the body? Because it's going to be in the ocean. So they considered relying on rigor mortis to hold the briefcase to his body. But Montague said, fuck that. Bodies move unpredictably in water. Current shift, accidents happen. We cannot bet all of this on rigor mortis.
Yeah.
So instead, they chained the briefcase directly to Martin's belt. This detail served two purposes. One, it ensured that the documents wouldn't drift away. And two, it reinforced the narrative that Martin had died suddenly, mid-journey, still safeguarding his orders. It was another very subtle psychological nudge. It wasn't a man trying to leak information. This was a man who was never meant to be found. In total, from the start of Operation Mincemeat, once the body was found, officers had 3 months with this body that it was slowly decomposing before it was released and the plan was launched. So, on April 30th, 1943, HMS Seraph surfaced on the coast of southern Spain. The crew had been told they were transporting sensitive material, but not what it was. They were told that it was top secret meteorological equipment. Only the commanding officer were fully aware of the body and the nature of the mission. Casual remarks from the crew about the heavy canister were made, nicknaming its contents John's brown body or our new shipmate Charlie, but they were unaware of how close to the truth their jokes were. Montague later wrote that the moment of the canister being opened and the body being revealed felt strangely ceremonial. The crew that was there said a brief prayer, and Major William Martin was released into the sea. And with that, the operation passed beyond Allied control and into open waters. Later that morning, the body was discovered by a Spanish sardine fisherman named Jose Antonio Rey Maria, who was the first civilian to encounter the corpse of Major Martin. He described the face as blackened as if it had been scorched. Everything happened after that exactly as Montague had hoped. Spanish authorities recovered the corpse and its belongings. The documents were photographed and quietly passed to German intelligence through established channels. The British consul in Spain performed outrage, demanding the immediate return of the briefcase, insisting the documents they were of no importance, and they played it up, and it worked. German agents interpreted British urgency as a confirmation that the papers mattered deeply, and by the time the originals were returned, the damage was done, and their security measure, the eyelash, gone. The letters had been opened. German intelligence found Major Martin convincing for the same reason Montague expected them to. The story matched their fears. Hitler already believed Greece was vulnerable. He worried about the Balkans. He suspected Allied deception, but believed this intelligence was authentic because it appeared unintentional. This is confirmation bias at its finest. Hitler actually personally reviewed the intelligence. He personally reviewed this information and these letters, and he ordered reinforcements diverted to Greece and Sardinia. Entire divisions were moved away from Sicily because of Hitler's orders.
Damn.
Meanwhile, Allied codebreakers reading German communication through Ultra knew the deception had worked. Montague later described the moment as terrifying. If Germany suddenly reversed its course, it would mean disaster, but they didn't, and they doubled down.
How about that?
On July 9th, 1943, Allied forces invaded Sicily. Resistance was even lighter than expected. So Operation Mincemeat was made to decrease casualties. They knew that there would still be blood drawn, men's lives lost, but it was meant to make it severely lessened. And it was even lessened more than they had expected because of how convincing that this was. Germans were completely unprepared. Reinforcements arrived way too late. The invasion succeeded faster and with even fewer casualties than planners had feared. Operation Mincemeat didn't win the war, but it saved lives, and it accelerated the collapse of Mussolini's regime that would soon cause Italy to surrender. McIntyre, who had written the book on Operation Mincemeat, wrote that the exact impact of mincemeat is impossible to calculate. Although the British had expected 10,000 to be killed or wounded in the first week of fighting, only a seventh of that number became casualties, and the Navy expected 300 ships would be sunk in action, but they only lost 12, and they predicted a 90-day campaign, but it was over in 38.
How about that?
A corpse had changed the course of history.
That's incredible.
Yep. Looking back, Operation Mincemeat was a monumental operation. It was pivotal in shaping the outcome of World War II, and while it's not really known or taught in history classes, the events had a very significant impact. And if you think about it, the idea of, like a false story for the enemy goes the whole way back to the Trojan horse. And it's still as relevant today as it was then.
Yeah.
Got a couple more things for you, but any thoughts before I dive into the ending?
I think talking about and kind of dissecting the ethical problem of using somebody's dead body on behalf of the country to save lives is interesting.
Yeah.
And it can be looked at from a lot of different angles. If it had failed,
yeah,
it would be pretty shameful.
Yeah.
But it didn't. At the same time, though, the possibility of it failing is still shameful.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Yeah.
And volunteering someone's dead body to whatever end you want, whether you're a country or like a psychopath, like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
I think that should be a little bit more closely examined, the parallels there.
No, for sure. And I think that also I think that line that you just drew is a really good example of the weight of it all. I mean, like you said, if it succeeds, great. If not, it's shameful.
Mm-hmm.
It should be shameful either way. And I think that boundary of humanity the weight that we put into dead bodies, alive or dead, and the weight that we put into humanity is what separates the good people from the Jeffrey Dahmers. If we lose that humanity and that sense of respect for bodies, then are we really any better than somebody else? How do you justify their acts and our acts if we don't have that little bit of humanity to it?
Yeah, right. Because there's always a war, but there's also always after the war as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an amazing story.
Yeah. Couple extra things. Over the course of a single weekend, Montague wrote The Man Who Never Was, which sold 2 million copies as a book and formed the basis for a 1956 movie. You gave me a look.
James Bond?
No, not James Bond.
No, what is it?
The Man Who Never Was. That's the same. By the same name.
I thought you were pausing to.
For
so
dramatic
I could guess
effect.
the title.
No.
Gotcha.
His brother was actually a filmmaker. He did not make the film. But fun fact, his brother was actually a Soviet spy. So on the complete opposite end. But yeah, so the security services did not give Montague complete freedom to reveal operational details, and he was careful not to mention the role played by signals intelligence to confirm that the operation had been successful. He was also careful to obscure the idea of an organized program of strategic deception, with mincemeat being presented as a wild one-off caper.
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 That's one word for it.
Yeah. And again, back to this man whose identity we do not know. Montague refused to identify the individual and described him as, quote, a bit of a ne'er-do-well, and that the only worthwhile thing he ever did, he did after his death. For decades, the truth remained classified under British intelligence. When Montague finally published The Man Who Never Was, the story shocked the public. And only much later was the man's real name acknowledged. The identity of the man remained a secret for a long time, primarily because of the need to protect sensitive intelligence methods and personnel during and after the war. So I can understand that much. But it was not officially confirmed until 50 years later in 1996 when an amateur historian found declassified documents in a public records office. So in 1996, Roger Morgan, an amateur historian from London, uncovered this evidence in the public record office that the identity of the corpse was Glyndwr Michael.
Oh, you can't hit me with Glyndwr.
Glyndwr.
Glyndwr? Glyndwr?
Glyndor.
Glyndor. So he was a wizard.
Glyndwr Michael. He was a wizard.
Jesus Christ.
He was a wizard.
You know what the most unbelievable thing about this story are the names.
The fucking names. You're right.
Glenmore, Spilsbury.
Glyndor.
Glyndor.
It's a Welsh name.
Chunley, spelled absolutely fucked.
Cholmondeley. Cholmondre.
Oh, this is great.
But Glyndwr Michael was a 34-year-old Welsh man who had been living unhoused in London.
Mm-hmm.
Some say he killed himself with the rat poison to escape his life. Others say it was actually planted by the British to get a body. But others say it was an accident and that he was trying to eat breadcrumbs covered in rat poison accidentally. So we don't actually know what had actually happened. But I think the official order said that it was suicide. But no matter the case, Glyndwr Michael was buried in Spain under the name Major William Martin. His gravestone was amended to reflect both identities once we had the identities, and it reads, "Here lies the British national who served his country after his death in World War II and is known as the man who never was. He had been anonymous in life, but he had become essential in death."
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I never heard this story before.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. What do you make of it?
I think it's an incredible story. I don't know why it resonated with me so much. And again, it's not really like other stories that I would tell, but it fit the oddity genre.
Yeah.
And it hits all the moral quandaries that we talk about here. And it's crazy. It's for me, like, especially like looking back in history or just life in general, it's crazy how many small things make these like huge changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like the joke that like maybe if Hitler had been accepted into art school, maybe he wouldn't have, done all the things that he did.
He would have been worse.
Kind of holds some truth to it though. You never know like how these small decisions and these small things will impact the outcome of life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I say small things. Obviously, what they did was a pretty huge operation, but the small idea of why don't we get a dead body and plant some documents on it?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, what if it didn't work?
Yeah.
That's major.
Mm-hmm. Probably would have been hidden, and we would never have known about it.
Never known about it, and many people would have died.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For bringing that. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on ME Crisis Pod on Instagram and Facebook. Dylan, where can they find you?
Marvel Folk.
You can find me at my first and my last name, and you can email us at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com if you want to say hi.
All right, folks.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.